Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of Magic with Zuby. My name is Zuby, and if you're brand new to this show's all about a little well-known card game called Magic the Gathering. So on today's episode, we brought on Lesley and Shawna from the YouTube channel TapThatMTG. They do a podcast as well, and they also are very for new players where they do a lot of videos and deck text describing certain mechanics and certain aspects of pre-con decks and a lot of other decks and just mechanics of how they interact to really describe it for newer players. And so I brought them on to talk about that, and we talked about D&D. They're both librarians. They also own a game store, and we talked about what it's like owning a game store, especially during the pandemic, and just so much more and everything else. We talked about so much. So without further ado, well, actually, before we get into that, let me get some announcements out of the way. Magic with Zuby can be found on the following: iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, TuneIn Radio. If you want to help support the show, you can check out the show's Patreon at patreon.com/magicwithzuby. And you can find me on Twitter at magicwithzuby, on Instagram at magic_with_zuby, and you can email me with any questions you may have at mtgzuby@gmail.com. And here are two quick little ads, and then we will get on with the interview with Lesley and Shawna.
Well, hey there, Zoe. Why the long face there, chum?
I just want to order some magic cards, but the shipping was too expensive.
Too expensive? Well, did you know if you go to legitmtg.com, you can order any magic cards, and anything over $2 or more has free shipping?
Wow, free shipping's at legitmtg.com. That's amazing.
You heard that right, Zoe. Free shipping at legitmtg.com with any order over $2 or more. Be sure to visit today and get the best deal on Magic singles and Magic sealed product available.
Wow, that's amazing.
And that is how you beat the latest standard meta with Abzan.
Ugh, it feels like there's no Magic content out there for someone like me. Someone who doesn't want to be competitive. Someone who is...
Who is a normie?
Yeah, exactly! A normie!
Well, have I got the show for you, the all-new Magic for Normies show.
Hi, I'm Pixie.
And I'm Zuby.
Together, we host the all-new
Magic for Normies.
It is the Magic the Gathering show for all your normie needs. We don't care what deck got into the top 8 or what deck is winning. We care about having fun playing Magic.
That's right, Pixie. You can watch us on Pixie's Twitch channel at twitch.tv/PixieKittenPlays and catch the VOD on our YouTube channel, Pixie Kitten Plays. If audio is your thing, you can find episodes on the Magic with Zuby RSS feed.
Magic for Normies.
Oh, and we're live here. So, Zuby here, I've got Lesley and Shawna here from TapThatMTG, a YouTube channel. And how's it going, both of you?
Great. Wonderful.
It's
nice
all the way from Canada. You guys are on the what part of Canada again are you guys in?
Do we want to tell them that? we're in Alberta.
Okay, Alberta. And for people like me who don't know their geography very well, is that in the middle province of Canada? Or is that on the west?
Very west, but just about second west.
Okay. Okay, so not like all on the other side by Alaska and Washington and all that. It's over more
just above Montana.
Right above Montana. Okay.
Yeah, I've driven to Tacoma in a day. So.
Oh. Yeah. How long of a drive is that?
It's about 13 hours.
Oh my god. It's quite a drive. Well, then again, from where I live in Florida, driving all the way to Atlanta, Georgia, it's about a 10-hour drive. So yeah. It's Florida's a lot bigger than you really think it is. It's
it's very long.
Yeah. Have you two ever been to Florida before?
3 times, yeah.
3 times? Ooh. What would you come to Florida for? Disney?
Of course. I have kids. I was there for a cruise.
Ooh, nice. So you two are the brains behind TapThatMTG. It looks like you've all been doing it for about a year now. So yeah. What kind of started it? What prompted it?
It's a good story, actually. So we were at a writers' conference together because we share a lot of the same interests. So we have the same job. We both write, and we both do this thing called Magic the Gathering. And so we went to a writers' conference, and we were the nerdy ones that brought our commander decks with us. And we were sitting there in the common forum playing Magic while everybody else was doing other fun social stuff. We were hoping that people would be like, "Oh,
Yeah, we
cool,
invited
Magic
everybody.
players, let's go like join them." We did have one person who sidled up next to us and joined us for a bit. Anyway, we had a fun weekend, and then on the way home, we were like, we need to figure out a way that we can share our passion and just do something that is really interesting to us. And we have a lot of kind of new players that we hang out with as well, and we were trying to think of a way to help them. And so we came up with a tagline and said, let's do it, and just kind of went from there. So it's developed a little bit over the years and changed a little bit, but we've had lots of fun.
Yeah, it's been really fun, and it's mostly been focused on those new players because when we started playing, you talk to Magic players and they get so far ahead and they're like, what? I don't even understand what the heck you're talking about. And so we wanted to break it down into some very simple stuff because we have a lot of middle school age kids who are really getting into it, and we wanted to make sure that they could understand and not get discouraged. So yeah.
No, and that's good. It's always good to have more of that with trying to teach new players, because it's my buddy Marcel, who's been playing for about maybe almost 2 years now. I'm such an entrenched player. I played for so long, and you sort of take it for granted on how complicated this game can be. And when you talk with someone new, even Pixie Kitten, she's a good player, but there's so much of old Magic mechanics she doesn't know about that you take it for granted and you don't even think about it. And it is a very complicated game, and it's great that you both are starting to do something like that. Now, I see behind you with all these board games behind you, and I did have to ask, I was looking at some of your earlier videos, like some of your first videos. Looks like you guys were in a game store or something?
Yeah.
Do you own your own store, or?
Yeah, my other life, I own Pandora's Boox, which is a bookstore, game shop, basically everything I wanted to do when I retired and decided to do early. So, we're at Pandora's today.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. So how long have you had that game shop now?
6 years.
Ooh, and it's still going strong?
Well, we were closed for COVID, so hopefully... Hopefully it'll keep going strong. But yeah, we have a really good community. Our town is about 9,000? So it's just a little tiny town. So for a little tiny town, we actually have a really good following of Magic players, and it's really fun to have a community that will come together. Lots of D&D players, and so we have weekly events and stuff like that. So yeah, it's super fun.
Now, do you both own it?
No, I own it.
Oh, just okay.
I just live here. She's just here.
So, no, that's awesome. So, with this whole pandemic thing going on, I mean, what's that been like in terms of trying to keep I'm sure, just like a lot of LGS owners out there are probably just worried about keeping it open and all that, like trying to survive this. Like, what's that been like?
Well, it's interesting because I think that a good local game store will have built their community and fostered their community in such a way that when we closed, we were in a position, we already had an online store as well. So we had a lot of our local people that actually put money aside so that they could do stuff while we were closed, even though they were out of work themselves, which was, I guess, a testament to how much work we've put in kind of building friends and a community and loyalty. So I think if local game stores have built loyalty in their community, then they'll get that back from their players, because game players are typically pretty loyal people anyway. So I think we'll be okay.
Oh, no, that's good to hear, because I know here in Florida, things are starting to slowly get back to normal here in Florida, in terms of places reopening. And my game shop, thank God, they haven't closed or anything. They're still open just for curbside. But yeah, you don't really realize how much you miss an LGS until you can't go to it, or until it's just closed altogether when you don't have one in the area. So that's good to hear, because that was a big thing I remember just being worried about, that, you know, especially small businesses altogether just been hit so hard by this. I mean, not knowing, I said I wouldn't get into politics, but I'm just curious from the Canadian side. Is the government there helping out businesses a lot, like all that, or how does that go?
Yeah, there's programs out there. I mean, they're helping the bigger stores and stuff more than they're helping the smaller little mom and pop shops. But there is some help out there, and I think their main focus is employees and keeping people employed, which is great. So I think that this whole shutdown of local game stores, and there is like at least half that won't open again, has been really interesting. I mean, bringing it back to Magic again for this new set and its release, and of course having to change things up with Ikoria and when the release was going to be, and even not being able to have pre-release, which was heartbreaking to me, because I've been in every pre-release since Origins, and it's just like, oh, I'm so sad that I didn't get to do pre-release this time in a normal way. So when you look at Magic singles and even the set itself, the prices and stuff like that of different cards, when are they going to settle? I don't know. And will they plummet and then go back up, or will they stay relatively stable? But nobody's playing paper Magic right now because they can't get together with people. So I just think it's going to be really interesting. I mean, obviously, we're playing, we've played Commander with you on Spell Table, which is fantastic. And everyone's playing Arena, but there's not a lot of people I find that are like, yeah, I'm going to go build the next standard deck because there's a standard competition at my Friday Night Magic.
That's true.
So I think there's that market that's missing out, and it'll be interesting to see if that recovers, or we'll just forget about Ikoria. Core set's always really small anyway, so it might not be till October until anyone's excited again.
Well, I mean, heck, we got Core set coming out next month already.
I know.
I mean, even with Ikoria on paper coming out this month, you know, Ikoria technically came out last month, but still, it still feels like Ikoria literally just came out. And we're already getting Core Set 2021, and I mean, I'm kind of excited about it. I'm more excited about Jumpstart than the actual Core Set, because that looks a lot of fun. So one question I have is, how long have you both been playing Magic for? Like, what sets did you start off in? And...
Well, Lesley played a little bit longer than me, and she was harassing me constantly to play this stupid game. So I finally gave in when Kaladesh came out, and I completely fell in love, because I love Kaladesh. It's just, that was my favorite, Kaladesh. And then my whole family, so we had that Christmas, everyone got each other Magic cards for Christmas, and we spent the entire Christmas holidays, 4 of us building decks, playing against each other around the around the table. It was the best Christmas ever, because my kids are like, they're teenagers, right? So it was amazing that we got to have that time together. So
that sounds awesome and fun. Yeah. That sounds like a great Christmas, better than just, I mean, not that Christmas is ever bad. It's just, you know, you open up, you do the presents with the kids, and then you go have dinner, and that's about it. Maybe watch football or something, and then you go to sleep early. But no, that sounds way better than it's. I've tried to get my kids into Magic, but it's they'd rather play D&D than Magic more than anything, which is still not bad. I still enjoy it.
Yeah, not a bad thing.
That too. Yeah.
Yeah, I see you're a big D&D-er yourself there.
You probably see. Yeah. Well, you also don't see the other...
All the starter sets and stuff.
Yeah, the other books, too, down there, too. Like, I've got Rift and Shadowrun, and I just picked up the new Star Trek RPG book and started reading that. Can't wait to try to play some of that. But Lesley, what about you? What set did you start off in?
Origins.
Nice.
Yeah.
That was a good one. That was a fun one with the flip planeswalkers. That was the start of the whole Gatewatch thing.
Yeah. And I really, for me, Magic is really, and maybe it's because I started in Origins, and Origins was all about finding out the backstory of these planeswalkers.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, the story behind the cards and the story behind the set is so important. So I've actually really missed the last few sets of having like a regular weekly story. It was like just the stories online for a while, and then all of a sudden we were getting books again, and I was like, oh, okay, cool. And then I was really disappointed because of the books. And
yeah, they were not very good.
I actually really like Wildered Quests, or is that what it's called?
Wildered Quest, something like that.
No, the Brandon Sanderson. Of course, Brandon Sanderson's one was really good, but the one for
A Throne of Eldraine.
Throne of Eldraine was really good. I did not like the War of the Spark one very much, but
yeah,
I was really happy to get books. And then the next set for Theros, no story at all.
I was so disappointed with that because I loved the first Theros set. Like, Elspeth is one of my favorite planeswalkers, and the fact that had zero story besides like a little paragraph on the website, that was such a disappointment.
There was such potential in that set for these epic god stories that we could have read about. So
I'm hoping we get a little something in the Theros D&D book that comes out next month or July.
Oh, okay. All right. Have you played the Ravnica D&D?
Yes. Yes. Yeah, I DM'd a campaign when I was doing the 10th Street Hooligans podcast with Pixie and Johnny and all that. We did a Ravnica. I DM'd a Ravnica D&D game, and that was fun. It was a lot of fun doing that. It's that the only thing I don't like about that plane, doing it as just from a DM perspective, and maybe it's just my style. I just don't like how Ravnica is an entire city, and there's nothing outside of a city. You know what I mean? Like, there's no plains and mountains to explore and all that stuff. It's just one big city.
Yeah.
But otherwise, it was a really good, well-written book, though. It's even if you don't play D&D, if you really like the story and lore of Ravnica, it's worth picking up just to read it.
I like the races that it brought to the game as well, right? Being able to play a Loxodon or something like that.
Yes.
Yeah, so cool.
So you start in Origins, you start in Kaladesh. Those are two really good sets. God, I still feel like an old Magic player because I started off like Urza Saga like way back in the day, and but no, it's great that to me it's crazy like how popular Magic has become just even this past couple years. It's it's the explosion of just, I don't know, just all of it together is just insane.
So why do you suppose that is?
I mean, Arena would have a big impact of it, I think. Definitely helps because Magic Online, I mean, no offense, it just looks bad. It's not user-friendly at all. It's not intuitive. It's not shiny. It's not easy to use. And Magic Arena is definitely for that crowd of people that can just log in. They don't have to pay anything, which I think Magic Online is now free to start an account, I think now.
They give you like a few packs, but there's nothing that you can build decks with. You have to actually pay into it in order to play it, I think.
Yeah. So and I think Magic Arena has a lot to do with it, and plus with how popular Commander's getting now too. It's God, I remember first playing Commander, it's like almost 10 years ago, and just I think the very first Commander set was out, the Commander Arsenal or something, and that was insane, and that was barely anyone played it, and now there's just pretty much all that everybody plays. It's pretty much all I play now, that and Limited, because I don't play Modern Standard anymore or anything like that.
Yeah, it's interesting. Modern and Standard, we try to do, as a local game store owner, we try to do different events every Friday of like, this week's Standard, next week's Modern, because you get people that come in and they're like, well, you never have any Standard things or you never have any Modern things. Nobody ever comes to any of those, but our Commander nights, there's not a seat free in the entire store.
That is pretty much the same here in Florida too. It kind of fluctuates. So when did you first open up the store doing Magic? You said 6 years ago?
Yeah, well, we weren't doing Magic right at first. We started kind of just as a bookstore game shop We do coffee and stuff too. And then we kind of built it in a couple years after that. So I would say, when was our first major? I would say Amonkhet was the first set where we were like, okay, let's go all in. Let's open packs. Let's start selling singles. So we sold the product, but we didn't do events and stuff. And that's when we first started doing kind of pre-releases and events. And it's been super fun after that. So
how has your standard attendance been since, you started doing events and all that? If you had to, because just from what I've seen in my area, and this sort of predates from when you started doing Magic. I know back when Innistrad and Return to Ravnica were out, Standard was huge. Like there, like a lot of game stores in my area, like you could not get a seat in there if you didn't come in early enough. And it wasn't until about Battle for Zendikar came out a couple of years later that it just started to drop off dramatically. And then it sort of started to pick back up when Shadows over Innistrad came out. Then I think Amonkhet was right after that. So it was Kaladesh, then Amonkhet, and it started to pick back up a little bit. Have you noticed those sort of fluctuations in your store?
Yeah, I think ultimately formats they fluctuate based on whatever community or the players that you have and what they want to play. And you just have to respond to that. I think formats are actually a little bit of a downfall to Magic in a sense, because most of the players that we get here are kind of, when you say, hey, join the modern tournament, and they're like, I don't have a modern deck. It's like, well, technically everybody has a modern deck. It's your standard deck can be played in modern. Just join. It's fun. It's a casual, right? But they see this big kind of like, modern is hard. You have to have a $900 deck, so I can't join that tournament. Yeah. Even though the meta at your local game store is completely different than what you would get at a GP or something like that. And it's the same with standard. Oh, I don't have a standard deck. I don't have anything new. I haven't bought any of the new cards. I'm not going to join that. I just want to play the deck that I built and not worry about what cards in it I have to take out. So I think that's why Commander is so popular, because you can build whatever you want and there's a ban list and there's some stipulations, but it uses so many cards in so many sets that the likelihood is you're going to find something that you need. And I think that's why Commander is popular.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And plus just only needing one of each is one of the best things about it.
Yeah.
One quick question about Standard here, because I want to start talking about a little bit about your YouTube content. How was your Standard attendance before COVID went back when? Because COVID, the lockdown started happening in March, so that would have been just around the time Theros probably still, because Theros came out in January, so yeah. How was your Standard attendance around then?
Like practically non-existent.
Do you think it had to do with Magic Arena a lot?
No, we have a lot of players in our store too that don't even play Arena.
Oh, okay.
So because the packs and stuff, they're like, I don't really care about this Universal Promo Pack promo. Here you can have this. So I think most of it is just they just want to come and play casual. And so a lot of there's a few competitive players in our realm that are like, I really want to play Standard and competitively. And I think those players actually scare away the people that might want to try it.
Yeah.
So
I know that feeling. It's
yeah. And I mean, we're in a town of like 9,000. So, you're drawing on, 50 to 100 people, and they're all going to have different things. Whereas in a city, you might have 100 people in your area that all want to play Standard. And so that makes it more viable to do in a city aspect.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Pre-release wise, though, that's all Standard, and that's very good because everybody gets excited about the new cards and stuff. So that's been good.
Yeah. We usually hold we used to only hold one pre-release. The max number of seats that we could have in our store at that time was 32, and so we would sell out. And we've grown to 2 full days of being able to sell out, and then we just expanded our space. So pre-release is kind of the thing that everyone's like, let's do sealed, because everyone's on the same level, and it doesn't matter if you're, you've spent $500 on your deck or whether you've spent, because everybody gets the same cards and the same chance. So
Oh,
Yeah.
I love it. Did you, prior to the pandemic, did you used to do the crazy pre-releases where when they changed pre-releases recently, right, for store owners where you didn't have to hold it at midnight, you could do it
Yeah.
before midnight, which I'm sure that was probably a blessing in disguise because
Everyone wants us to do midnight releases all the time. And I'm like, I'm 40 something years old. I need to sleep at night. We're holding our pre-release at 1. I'm sorry.
yeah, the last midnight pre-release I did was Shadows over Innistrad, and we had a whole bunch of new people there. We didn't even start playing until 2 a.m. like the first round because just so many new people just didn't understand how to build decks, so they gave them extra time to build and all that. And I had such an amazing pool for Shadows over Innistrad, and I friggin' blew away my first round opponent and all that. And then it was like nearing 3 a.m. and I looked at him, I'm like, you can have the win. I'm going to go to bed. Like I can't stay up any longer.
Yeah.
So I can't do it anymore.
For this.
I can't do it anymore. But no, I remember a bunch of store owners they would love pre-release because of the amount of money they can make and the amount of people that would come to the store and just, that happen to buy so much other stuff. But then you could just tell how tired they'd be by like Sunday because they'd Friday through Sunday they'd do pre-release. And
I don't know. For me, because I'm a Magic, I think it depends on whether they're like Magic players or not Magic players. So my taller half who runs the store while I'm in the pre-release, he's not a Magic player, and one of us has to not be into it because then the other person can enjoy it, which is okay. But he's tired by the end of it, but I'm just energized because I got to see all these cards and play in all these games. And so it really depends on how much you really, and we go all out. We do trophies and everything.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Oh, that's cool. So, now as far as your YouTube content goes, sort of describe to the audience there, like what you kind of do in terms of now you mentioned you do a lot of new players stuff, but what does that really entail? And to me, it sort of looks like a podcast-esque type form, but I guess just describe it if you can.
Sure. So a lot of it, and our most popular videos, and the ones that we find the most fun, are where we take the pre-built decks and we break them down for people and explain how to play them and some of the things you can do. Because again, those new players don't necessarily know what the new mechanics are or why you would play this card and how you would play that card. And so, we break those down, and we do a podcast as well. So we try to do stuff that we describe what's happening so that people can listen as well as watch. So, and Lesley does an amazing job on the editing. It's just so beautiful that she makes these things.
Nice.
Yeah.
Now, do you have your podcast available in audio too?
Yeah.
On like iTunes or something?
Yep.
Yeah, and Google Play, and Podbean, and all that stuff.
Oh, I did not know that. I thought it was just on. Okay, I found you. Cool. I'm gonna subscribe.
Basically, anywhere you can download podcasts, you can download us.
All right, awesome. So you heard that out there. So iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, probably all those. Awesome. So what about so you've been doing about content creation for looks like about a year now, little over a year.
April 4th was our anniversary. Yeah.
What day?
April 4th.
Oh, April 4th. Nice. So in that year, what have been some of the things that you found that you've liked about it, that you found hard? Some stuff maybe you wish you knew when you first started?
I think the biggest hurdle we had is we were so excited that we wanted to talk about everything all the time. And you can only do so much of that before you start burning out and go, oh my God, I have to record again. So so there was that. And then just not knowing what we should talk about, what people are interested in. That was a big thing.
I think that's still a learning process too, because number one, what people want changes, but definitely by far our most popular content as far as downloads or podcast listens is when we take our pre-constructed decks and we break them down for people. And then the second probably most popular is when there's a pre-release, and we always do a big video of here's the commons and uncommons and the things that you should watch for to pre-release well, to prep for pre-release. And then we've tried to do little things like deck tech and, hey, check out this deck we made, or
why more girls should play Magic.
Why more? Oh, that was actually popular.
That
why
was
more
popular.
girls should play Magic, but that stuff's not as popular, and I think that ultimately that's because there's so many really good players, professional players that are already doing that.
Amazing.
So why try to compete in that space? So we've really kind of honed our focus on, let's talk to the people, the new players, or even a lot of people that are responding to us are people that haven't played in years and they're coming back to it, or they're just like us that are kind of like, we kind of know what we're doing, but we
just want to have fun.
We just want to have fun. So, here's what you need to know to have fun.
No, and that's good to know. That's one of the hardest things to really understand with content creation, is just enjoying it, because and I've talked about this before at length in my show. It's so easy to get those hopes and dreams of, I want to make it big, but it's
never gonna happen.
If you don't enjoy it, that's one thing I'm starting to really realize. Like, if you don't enjoy it, then why even keep doing it?
Yeah.
And and you make a good point too, where I love doing deck techs, and I love doing set reviews too, but I know there's people like LSV or a whole bunch of other people that are way smarter than me when it comes to Magic. It's like, I feel dumb as heck playing Magic a lot of times. And but I still enjoy doing it because it's fun, and I try to now focus more on the casual stuff and the, as Pixie would say, the normie stuff, and and I don't know, that's what I really enjoy, because I know I don't have any aspirations at all being competitive anymore with Magic. That's out the window. Too many competitive players killed it for me. Maybe it's just a Florida thing.
No, it's not just a Florida thing.
It's Magic Florida man or something just ruined it. No, but so I see a lot of other games back there. Do you have a lot of people that also play board games too over there? Is that pretty popular?
Yeah, we have a board game night, and you can just come and play, and we don't charge people to play our games. So
they just come and play.
Just come and play. So
that's cool.
We that's another thing. She always comes over and
I live here.
We're just always together.
My family never sees me anymore. I have teenagers. They don't care.
Yeah. I've noticed that as my kids have gotten older, I've got two daughters, 16 and 10, and
I'm sorry.
It's the 16-year-old. She's great. I mean, with me, she's very good. With the mother, it's
not so much.
But my 10-year-old, oh my God, I'm gonna have to watch out for her. She's daddy's girl through and through. But my God, I'm gonna have to watch out for her.
Do they play Magic?
They know how to play. They just don't enjoy it that much. That, like I said, they enjoy D&D way more because they love the creativity of role playing. But I try not to play D&D with both of them, because they will just start fighting and arguing about what to do, and it's
my grandchildren.
It gets a little tiring, because they'll just start arguing and bickering, and I'm just like, oh, all right. So I'll try to play D&D separately with them. Makes it a little bit easier, and especially the age gap too. It's because my teenager, she's a know-it-all. She thinks she knows everything, and then my youngest doesn't want to listen to the oldest, and
must be creative. I'm crazy.
Yep, she wants to prove that she's a big girl and knows what she's doing, and it's like, no, you don't, kid. Just stop. No, so you also mentioned you do D&D there as well. Is that getting pretty popular as well too over there?
Yeah, D&D is great. I mean, that has definitely become more popular since, I think, Big Bang Theory was like, hey, D&D, and everyone's like wanting to be like all the cool kids. So we have youth D&D, and there's we have 3 tables of youth that come and play here at the store, and I know, Shawna, you have a whole family unit that plays. I have a unit that plays.
Nice. So you both play too?
Yeah, definitely. And then we have like Adventurers League for adults once a week as well. So And then that's just like the above ground people. That's not the underground people that just like play.
Oh yeah,
there's a lot of people in this town.
There's a lot of D&D players. It just really surprises me every time a new person comes in to get another player's handbook. I'm just like, can't keep them on the shelf. It's great.
Yeah, I've noticed that too at my store. It's like they can never keep the players' handbooks on the shelf. He's also started selling other stuff. Like I just picked up the Call of Cthulhu player's handbook because I want to learn how to play that. He's got the Starfinder, Pathfinder, all that kind of stuff. So it's great seeing that really start to explode in popularity. How long have you two been playing D&D?
I played D&D back when I was 14 years old, and I'm 50 now. But then I didn't play for a really long time. Yeah. So I just played as a teenager, and then I just started playing again since we've been playing Magic, really.
I pulled her back in for Tomb of Annihilation.
Yeah, Tomb of Annihilation, for
nice.
sure.
I only killed her twice.
So how long have you been playing, Lesley?
I've been playing, I think, 4 years now. So not a super long time. But my husband played way back in like 2nd edition. And so when, of course, we started doing it at the store, it was kind of like, let's do this. And then now I have like 3 different games that I play. And I like the DMing aspect of it.
Oh, nice.
More. Well, I enjoy playing it, but I'm a storyteller. So I really enjoy creating adventures as well as like just maybe I like being the center of attention. I think the DM gets to be involved in everything.
No,
right?
I'm one of those forever DMs as well too, and I love DMing. It's so much fun to me. I've been doing it since I was a teenager too. My friend and I even built our own RPG system. It's like a mix of Dungeons and Dragons meets Final Fantasy. And well, I tell him like, oh, we'll publish it one day, and then I look at it and I'm like, it's way too much work to even. Because it's like we've got the combat system down and all that, but then there's so much of the stuff that you look at that people do outside of combat. I don't even know where to begin on even creating any of that stuff. It's way above my head. But no, so that's awesome. So play D&D, play Magic. When can I come visit you all? Like,
anytime.
Well, I think the border's closed to Canada right now anyway.
So as soon as they're open again, I guess.
Yeah. Because my wife wants to make a trip up there to Niagara Falls, but it's like, I tell her, well, we could go to the New York side. She's like, I don't want to go to the New York side. I want to go to the Canadian side. I'm like, well.
Yeah, that's a long ways away.
Yeah.
If you come here, we're less than an hour away from the mountains, so you can go and visit the mountains pretty easily.
Come to Banff.
Come to where?
Banff.
Banff?
Banff.
Like badass motherfucker, or?
Yeah, well, B-A-N-N-F.
Oh.
Sorry, B-A-N-N-F-F.
Oh, okay. B-A-N-F-F. Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, badass. We're about an hour north of Calgary. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, like I said, I still don't know Canadian geography that well. The only place I've actually been to in Canada was when I went to Maine. I went to Quebec, right above it. That's the only place I've been to in Canada before. I went to a Canadian golf course to play golf.
Oh, there you go.
We're right above Idaho.
We're right above Montana.
Well, Montana's right below us.
Yeah, I've never been over there in that part of the U.S. I've been all up and down the eastern seaboard and like the bottom half of the U.S. and all that, but never up on that part.
West Coast.
Yeah.
Well, it's summertime now, so it's warm. It's pretty.
Oh yeah, well, yeah. Right before we started recording, you said it's warm, but how cold did you say it was today, or?
This morning, I think it was 4 degrees Celsius, which is about 38 or so for you.
Yeah, that sounds about right. That is freezing. Oh my gosh. Like this morning, it was actually really nice this morning. So I don't know the Celsius to Fahrenheit conversion, but it was about like 80 degrees out, 80 degrees Fahrenheit this morning, and it was gorgeous. Like barely any humidity or anything, and then of course as soon as the sun rose, it just got up to like 1,000 degrees, like 100% humidity and all that. So.
I love it. Man, 4 degrees Celsius is like Swimsuit weatherman.
Are you kidding?
Yeah, don't listen to her.
Well,
Shorts.
when you live in Florida for so long, when it gets
Yeah.
down to like 65 degrees, we're freezing. We're putting on our
You're all wearing
jackets.
your hoodies and your parkas.
We're freezing. Oh man, but no, that's really cool. So it's God, I've got so much other questions about game stores too, because I love talking with other owners and all that. It's I've talked to so many people that and maybe this is bad of me or something, but I've talked to a lot of I'm still pretty young. But I talk to a lot of people my age that say like, yeah, I just want to go all in and open a game store. And my first thought is I tell them, no, make sure you have a lot of money before you even do that, because they think it's going to make them rich or whatever. And I'm just, I get scared because, you know, they're young enough. They're like in their, you know, late 20s, early 30s and thinking they're going to make it big and strike it rich and all that. And so what's some advice you could give to some people out there that want to open their own game store? You've been, it is a testament that you've been open for 6 years, because as I understand, businesses like game stores are not easy to maintain and keep open, because, and from what I understand, at least on the Magic side, there's a small profit margin for a lot of the sealed product. And a lot of the profits, I think, come mainly from singles and probably a lot of other stuff that's non-Magic related. So what's some advice you'd give to some people who want to do it?
I want to hear what her advice is for me first. What do we do well?
What do you do well? The diversification, I think, is kind of key, because then you get a variety of people in that maybe, like, you get a Magic player in that might be interested in Dungeons and Dragons. So having that diversity, I think, is really important. I don't think you could just sell Magic cards and do well.
I don't think you could do it anymore.
Yeah.
I think maybe 10 years ago you could, but not anymore.
Yeah. And I think the other thing that's special about here is, I joke about it being my home, but it's a home for a lot of people, because it's more about the destination. This is a place to go and hang out with your friends and be accepted for who you are. And so having that kind of an environment where people can settle in and have a good time is really, really important. So I think a lot of people think it's just a store, but it's not. It's a lot more than that. It's that experience and that connection with other people.
Yeah, and I was going to say, Mirror's kind of the same thing. So when we opened, we knew, even not being a full-on game store when we first opened, that retail in essence, and what we wanted to be, was more of an experience. You're selling not things, you're selling acceptance, you're selling an experience. And so you know, our seats are comfy, our tables are comfy, we decorated nice, we tried to make it cozy so people wanted to sit and stay. We of course sell books, and I mean, books are amazing, even just as decoration in and of themselves. So you walk in and you're surrounded by books, and you get to play games among books. Whereas a lot of game stores you can go to and it's just walls of games, there's no seating, and they're not running events. So if you are going to, I guess my main advice, if you are thinking about opening a local game store, would be find out if there's a community there, and then have some way in your store to foster that community. Have places for them to sit when they come in and they want to talk to you about this really cool deck that they made and it's so awesome. Listen to them. Mm-hmm. Talk to them about that deck. And yeah, it takes time out of your day, but that's okay, because you're talking about Magic and that's fun. Yeah. So yeah, I think you just need to it's not about how much you're selling, because you don't, like, a lot of people, I think, have this really odd impression that when you have an event like a pre-release, that you're just making tons of money on this, like all these event entries, but you don't make anything ultimately on the pre-release itself. You make money on if people buy things while they're there, so that's why you hold the events. But there's no money in holding events, and there's no money in any of that stuff. So you got to do it because you love it. And yes, you have to make money, and there will always be people that don't understand that, and they'll go, well, I can get it cheaper on Amazon. Why can I get it cheaper there? So, but they'll keep coming back if they want to be there.
Yeah, that is. How do you deal with so good example here. Commander 2020 just got released, and we've all seen some of the prices, especially of the Jeskai one. Now, obviously, game stores such as yourself would have to try to make money on that. And you brought up a good point where people say, well, I can just get it, cheaper on Amazon. So just $40 and all that. But we know there's that one stupid counter spell in there that shot up to like $80 at one point. I think it went down a little bit. But so when you look at products like that on the secondary market, they've shot up like that. How do you deal with that? Because obviously people are still going to be like, well, forget this game store. I'm going to go buy it online. How do you deal with something like that?
You cry. No. It's interesting because in the States, it's a lot different. Amazon is a lot different in the States than it is here in Canada. So I've seen a lot of like discrepancies in prices with American Amazon versus American game store pricing, and how people can get like it at half price on Amazon, and so they're buying it half price. That's not the case here in Canada. It's still pretty across the board the same as far as what we have to charge for it and what Amazon might have to charge for it. With something like Commander, I think people expect that the prices will fluctuate. We compare with other game stores, with what's happening in the States, and we just try to stay competitive. We know that we can't compete with Amazon, and I think, again, it just comes down to whether people are wanting to shop local or whether they're wanting to shop at a big box store, and those people will shop at a big box store if they want to. So you can't just try to compete with that. What people don't understand, and I'm going to stand on my soapbox for just a tiny second about even you guys down there with Amazon, is Amazon can buy things at distributor rates. They don't have a middleman. They can undercut the competition just so they can maintain a monopoly. And if you want your local game store in your community to run games for you and run events, then you need to buy stuff from them from time to time, because otherwise they can't pay the lights, and Amazon doesn't have tables and chairs and things for you to sit, and it doesn't have ambiance. They're just an online warehouse. So yes, they can do it cheaper, but you're buying more from your local game store than just the product.
No, and that makes a lot of sense. No, you're fine. You're fine. It's I love picking store owners' brains about this kind of stuff, because I mean I don't know. I've never owned a business like that. So I don't know what all the ins and outs are, but just from what I've seen with talking with other owners, it's tough. It's like I said, I know the profit margin on Magic is so small, and it's even D&D books, right? I'll sometimes see Amazon sells the player's handbook for D&D for $20, and when you look at the actual MSRP, it's $15. You're like, how are you going to compete with that? But just like you said, people can't play D&D or Magic at Amazon, at least not yet, not until Amazon starts building game stores. Oh, have you heard that GameStop is starting to do that now?
Really?
And they are doing a test pilot in Oklahoma where they're opening up game stores. But I think I don't know if they're wanting to do board games or Magic or D&D. These game stores, I think, are primarily esports related, League of Legends, Overwatch, stuff like that. But that kind of brings up a point or a question where if they were to start getting in the business of game shops like yourselves, I mean, that's a little scary, because that's corporate money behind them. And with how GameStop, physical GameStop locations are starting to close down, or they start to figure out, hey, we've got all this empty space, we're not selling video games anymore, let's turn them into game shops. That's kind of scary, don't you think?
Yeah, but I think it comes down to what Shawna was saying earlier with diversification. I think you have to be more than one thing. So yeah, we have board games, we have books, we have coffee, we have tea, we have snacks, we have a bunch of different avenues that people can come and experience our store in. So yeah, if you just want to be one thing, then a big box store can come in and they will probably be able to outdo you because they have corporate money behind them. So again, if you're selling an experience, then that's why people keep coming back to your store, right? Yeah.
Oh yeah, it reminds me of one of the first game stores I ever went to because even though I've been playing Magic a long time, we never had a game shop around here when I grew up and all that. So my story of trying to accumulate Magic cards is basically what I could find at Walmart growing up as a kid. So when I went to my first game shop back when M13 came out, and it's that exact experience you're talking about. It was a very family-oriented feeling where I could just go there, hang out. I don't even have to buy anything because the owner will know, like, hey, I'll buy whatever, and I'm not going to just loiter and all that stuff and just, you know what I mean? Because I'm sure you've had players like that where they'll just come in, not buy anything. And
yeah. Can I have a glass so I can have a glass of water?
But no, it's that good atmosphere because, I have a good friend of mine where he was going through a rough time personally, and the game shop happened to be open on Christmas Eve, and he spent the store owner decided to stay with him during his Christmas Eve, missed it with his family just to spend time with that player. And, like what there's like GameStop wouldn't do something like that. They tell you like, get out of here.
If you're not going to buy anything, then you need to get out. And I mean, in business in general, you have to remember that there's ripple effects and trickle down effects of everything you do. So yeah, that one kid that doesn't have any money from their parents that night and is just getting a glass of water because that's all they can afford. They come, they play Magic, they go home, and they're super excited that they got to play Magic. Christmas time comes around. Where's mom coming for Christmas present? Probably coming to our store. So there is trickle down things, and it's not like we do those things because we have this like super manipulative like game plan in our heads.
No, I know what you mean. Yeah.
But it's about recognizing that people are people, and you just need to treat them like people. And so we treat everybody that comes into the store as friends, and just kind of go from there.
So what do you do to try to make sure your gaming store is a safe place? Because and I'll preface that with I know I as a male I don't experience a lot of what females and other people go through and all that stuff, and I'm not trying to discount their experiences or anything, but I know like I said, I say this is a Florida thing, but I've heard a lot of horror stories from other LGSs too, where I've definitely been to some LGSs where it's just, even I as a male, where I'm like, oh, okay, I don't feel comfortable at all being here. And just, not only just the smell, but, just a lot of it, just the players and the store owners are just really crappy and shady people. And, and I'm sure you've heard those stories too. So what do you do to make sure that people are feeling welcoming to your store?
We make sure that people like Shawna are around who will play Magic with anybody. No, I'm serious. Yeah. I think you hit the nail on the head there, where you talked about how the owners are like these really shady people. I think you yourself, if you're not shady and you're welcoming to people, that's going to trickle down to all of the rest of the people in an expectation of what you expect in your store. Shawna is here every Friday. She plays Magic. There's a couple kids that just like Mrs. Sabrini as soon as they walk in the door. And she will sit and play with them all night long, even though she super wants to. Please let me join the tournament this week. But so-and-so doesn't want to, so she'll play with them. And there's other people in our store that will do that as well. And I think, I've always viewed my role as, let me introduce you to so-and-so. And because I know that person will welcome them in. And I really think that a Magic community needs to be about family. And even some of the 20 to 30-year-olds that come here and play on a regular basis, they're super open. I mean, we all are, right? Yeah. If you had somebody somebody that was new that really wanted to play with you, and someone came up and said, do you mind playing with this person? You'd be like, yeah, sure. Join our table, join our Commander game, right? So I think if you set that expectation in your store, we've had incidents.
Had a few things, yeah. And it's not just for women to be safe here. It's like the kids to be safe. It's for people like with disabilities and stuff like that that do play. Magic tends to attract a lot of those kinds of people for sure. And it's kind of like when that stuff happens, it's a zero tolerance kind of thing. It's taking them aside and having that conversation. And you're being kind of a jerk here, and that's really, this is a fun event. This is not a, oh my gosh, you're stacking your deck or some stupid rule thing.
You can't seed your deck, you're stacking it. You know, you get some of the competitive players that are like, you can't do that. Sorry, but this is, casual Friday Night Magic. So
there's no calling the judge.
Yeah.
Get over yourself. I'm a grandma, so people kind of respect me a little bit. So if I give them the grandma finger, they...
No, that's good to hear, because it's especially for newer players or people who may have social anxiety or anything like that, it can be intimidating even playing in an FNM where, even though it is like a casual REL event, but it's still, you'll come across those very try-hard people at FNMs where they act like it's a Grand Prix or a Pro Tour or something, and you're just like, I just want to play my janky, goblin deck or something. I don't want to.
But at the same time, too, like, you totally respect that type of person, because we can all look back in our childhood. I'm speaking to everybody listening right now. We can all look back in our childhood, and we were probably all the kids that felt that they didn't belong somewhere. So finally you get to this Magic community and you're good at what you do. You can build this awesome deck and it wins every time, and suddenly you are the center of attention. So I get why the tryhards are tryhard. Like, hey, you're good and you should be celebrated for that. So it's just about finding balance and saying, well, maybe now is not the time for you to try hard because this person has never played before and they're playing with a welcome deck. So let me give you a welcome deck too. And you guys can both play welcome decks, so.
Yeah. No, that's good to know. No, that's good. Yeah. I'm glad to hear that. It's I feel it's something important, especially with myself having two daughters. They always want to come to the game shop with me. Usually, I haven't really been going to my game store for Magic lately. It's been mainly more D&D. And usually that's sort of my time away from the house, since I work from home and, I'm home all the time and the kids are always, here, and it's usually like, I need to get away. All right. Yep. But when I do bring them, I like the fact that, I can bring them to the shop, they're well behaved and, it's not a shady place and all that, it's not like a scumbag place or anything like that. It's I've just had some bad experiences, and it's, like I said, I like to say it's a Florida thing, but I keep hearing, no, it's pretty much everywhere.
Yeah.
It's everywhere. But, no, that's great. I guess I'm trying to think of what else I want to.
I know what you need to talk about. I would like Shawna to talk about the amazing Magic the Gathering club that she has at her school library.
Ooh, that's awesome. Yeah, talk about that.
Yeah.
Because you both are librarians, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm a school librarian and she's a public librarian. Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. So Magic, Wizards of the Coast did offer, I don't know if they have any left. It's hard to get them, but they offered starting your own kind of game club at school. And again, when I became librarian, part of the reason I wanted to be librarian is there's a lot of kids that don't fit into the sports and those sorts of things. And I shouldn't say that it's a kind of a sweeping generalization, but for the most part, those kids need something to do. So I was interested in Magic, and some of them came here to the store and they were like, we should play this at school. And so we talked about it. And so I started this group at school, and I got all this stuff from Wizards. It was amazing. And so we actually have a little challenge going there that if they can play against Mrs. Savrani and beat me, then they get a little promo pack thing from
awesome.
which has a coupon and stuff in it. So it's kind of always a challenge to beat me, and some of them have learned a lot about deck building and stuff. And it's just a safe place for them to come at lunchtime and come and try and play against Mrs. Rainey. So it's kind of fun.
Some of those kids are good.
They've gotten good.
What you need to do is you get one of the kids who thinks they're, I'm the best Magic player around or whatever. You bring your, like, either a vintage or legacy storm deck or something, beat them on turn 1 and be like, I'm sorry, what were you saying again?
Oh, she does that.
I do that sometimes. Get a little cocky then. So, okay, now we're going to play my deck that,
So maybe play my optimized.
No more welcome decks for you. No.
Yeah. Do you have anything like that for anybody who wants to maybe play a harder deck against you, like a legacy or modern deck or anything like that?
Oh, well, yes. Most of the kids have standard decks, so most of my decks are standard decks, but I do like to play standard quite a bit and fairly competitive decks, so I do have some of those that I dig out. I don't have my little theme. I have a bunch of theme decks. I like to play lots of themes, so wolves or vampires or whatever, but if they start getting cocky, then I bring out my kind of tier 1 run them over and they're like, what just happened?
When sometimes it's fun when you have a bunch of decks too and they've had some time in there. They're kind of ready to level up themselves as far as what they're playing. When you can give them your wolf deck and say, here, you play the wolf deck, I'll play the vampire deck, we'll see how it goes, right? And so she's really good at making sure that she has a bunch of decks ready and so.
That's cool. I still think you should maybe Lesley, you have her borrow some of the cards if you have them in stock. Maybe like help her build a legacy deck, like a legacy tier 1 deck or something. And especially when you get one of those really cocky kids, be like, all right, hold on, I'm going to show you. All right.
Well, she's got a cube and everything. So
it's a cube.
Nice.
She pulls that out from time to time too. Fun. Yeah. We're slowly pulling them into Commander.
Yeah.
Ooh, nice. Yeah, so we played Commander a couple weeks ago. We need to do that again. I think you were playing the cat deck, Lesley, and Shawna was playing the...
I might have won at least one of the games.
Yeah, you did win one of the games, and Shawna, you were playing... Oh my gosh, what was it again? Wolves? No, Wolves was the second one.
Wolves was the second one. The first one I played was... wasn't it? Oh, it was...
was it?
It was my zombie deck, I think. The Geese and Garrett.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, the Demir one. That's right. That's right. No, those were some fun games. That cat deck kind of came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
I liked it. So we need to do another game, just you, me, us three, and Pixie, and we all need to try to play cat decks because I'm almost done building my cat deck.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. Or puppy, like we can do cats against dogs.
Cats and puppies. I'll do puppies.
Well, Pixie said that she was also going to build a rat deck too.
Rats.
Oh, cats and rats and dogs.
Ooh, there we go. Well, if it's going to be 4 of us, we need one more. Cats, rats, dogs, squirrels.
All right, you're building a squirrel deck.
Oh God, they're so expensive. Those
That's
squirrels.
why you're building it.
No. All right. Well,
I'll play with my Timeless Wisdom Cycle deck. It has a bunch of cat dinosaurs in it.
No. We did the pre-con stream this past Saturday, and Mr. Bevers was playing the Cycle deck. Oh my gosh, that deck.
So I was watching. Remember?
Oh yeah, it's and you saw my daughter cheering against me and all that.
Poor Zuby. Everyone just goes for you.
I know, even when I'm not the threat, it's like, but it's early on when I first started doing the streams. I was playing a lot my stronger decks and all that, and then I understand. I understand why they come after me, but I've been building decks that are purposely weaker now. I even built a blue deck that has 0 counter spells.
Wow.
I don't believe it.
That'd been hard to do.
Oh, it was. You don't believe me? Should I tell you what it is? And you're gonna groan anyway at what it is.
Okay.
It's a Grixis deck, and it's Nekasar.
Oh.
0 counter spells though.
It's a super not very good deck.
There's no counter spells. They're just board wipes in it. So and you get to draw cards.
Board wipes. I just want to play creatures.
But I'm not countering any of your spells, though.
That's fair.
I'm allowing you to resolve them.
Then they die.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I did build I just recently built a Jeskai monk deck with using Narset as the commander. And I did put a few counter spells in that because monks as a tribe are pretty weak. And I didn't put a lot of lords in there or anything because all the monks have prowess and all that. So
Right.
I'm trying to cast a lot of non-creature spells like Ponder, Brainstorm, Draw effects to sort of pump them up. But
Cool.
so it's I've played it a few times. It's pretty fun. It's if someone board wipes me, I'm pretty much dead at that point because I don't have ways to get back my creatures or anything like that.
You have an awesome Raid Mother deck.
Yeah, the goblin, the raid mother,
Oh, is the green red
green
one?
and red goblins. Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, she can be nasty.
Just pumps out the goblins.
Yes. Makes lots of goblins, and then you can copy spells as well.
And then don't you have something that when a creature dies, or when a token creature dies, that you do damage or something like that?
Of course.
So you just like
Have lots of stuff and let it die. And then
for someone. So do you ever notice that people who play Magic typically play opposite their personality? So she's super unaggressive in real life. She's just like the nicest person in the world. But when you get her at the Magic table, she's so aggressive. It's so scary.
Well, I need to play some more Commander with you two to get to understand that because it's I think Control is my favorite archetype, but I don't like playing Control too much in Commander. I like more of the Timmy aspect where I love playing big creatures and they do shenanigans on the board. I love shenanigans in Commander. It's one of my favorite things about it.
Yeah. I just like big stompy things like cats that do 24 trample at one time.
Exactly.
Oh gosh. Yeah, that's
Commander
scary.
damage.
Yeah. I love the mutate deck. Like seriously,
Oh my god.
or enhanced evolution, like it's stupid. Mutate onto a flyer and just fly in for command damage over and over and over again.
And
It's
that
really
that
good as a
mutate commander
one-shot.
is really good too. It's a 6/6 right off the bat. You can only pay 4 mana for it to mutate. And
Pretty ridiculous. Although I haven't played it yet in a group game, so I'd really like to play it in a group game. So please invite us to something, so that I can see how well it does. Because 1v1, it's just ridiculously powerful, but it probably isn't in a group because everyone will probably target you as soon as you get it up.
it depends. Like when we were doing the precons, like the Saturday morning precons when we had Total MTG on, he won both times with the mutate deck, but both times he started off really slow, and so the group kind of did the wrong thing of ignoring him because we still didn't know how powerful the Sultai deck could be because the Teamer and Jeskai deck were just getting a little bit crazy right off the bat, and so we tried to focus on them, and then Total just sort of came out of nowhere with his like, oh, he's got like 10 creatures mutated, and we're like, whoa, wait, what just happened?
Didn't you know that that's all Commander is? Diverting attention to somebody else?
Pretty much. And it doesn't work in my case.
She's very good at that.
That's how I play. I shouldn't tell you that.
I'll remember that next time. No, that's one of the best things about Commander is just the politics of it, and just trying to make deals with people like, hey, don't attack me this turn, and we'll take care of this other player here. Oh man, so what are some of your favorite commanders that you all have?
I love my Teysa commander deck. I love it. It's my favorite.
Teysa, that's Orzhov, right?
Yeah. So it's all about death triggers and just
Is
sit there.
Is that the newer Teysa, the one that was printed last year?
Teysa Karlov, and then I have other versions of her in the deck too. So
okay,
because it's a whole bunch of death trigger stuff. It's awesome.
Oh god. Do a lot of sack effects.
Yep. Lots and lots. Yeah.
Gross.
And every time your creatures die, my creatures, it doesn't matter. Board wipe. Okay. Everybody loses 15 life. Sure.
Oh god, that's gross.
Except me, I gain 15.
It's really gross.
That sounds gross.
It's fun.
What about you, Lesley?
I'm all about flyers. I've always been kind of like a fan of flyers. So I think Dragon is probably my favorite one, and it's got the Eminence. So I think all those commanders that were released with Eminence are all really powerful commanders.
Oh yeah.
And I've thought of building like a different dragon deck, but what's the point? Because Dragon is just the best commander out there, I think, for dragons. So.
Well, there's Scion of the Dragon, which can be just as good, because as soon as you get him out, he can just start digging through your deck to copy dragons. But I do like the Dragon.
Dragon just plays dragons for free.
Yeah. And that's what I like with the Dragon, because he's like the king of the dragons and all that, and just wipe face with people.
Yeah.
So I have, you've probably seen it on the stream, my Dragon deck, and I purposely made my mana base terrible in that deck while I have all the really good dragons. And I tell people, if you can't beat me with this deck, that means your deck's way too slow, because I have all 10 tap lands in it with the tri-tap lands. And I think very few basics, and I have no chromatic lantern, none of that, barely any ramp and all that stuff. So I'm like, if I beat you with this deck, you're too slow. You're killing me. So no, I like the dragon. What?
Need to be faster.
Yes. Yes. No, so how many commander decks do you both have?
There's 15 in my house right now.
Oh my gosh.
That's between everybody.
That's between everybody.
Oh, between everybody. Okay.
Oh, I don't know.
You have quite a few.
I buy a lot of the pre-mades because we're trying to get a lot of the kids that come into the store or people that come into the store to join our commander event. I like to have them on hand to say, hey, yeah, you can use it. So, I have the Populate one and the Dragon one and the Cat one. I have an Angel one.
I have a lot of the Commander 2016 ones because my son bought a lot of them, and they're worth a lot of money right now. Yeah. It's insane.
Yeah, I know. All of them, even especially the 2017 ones with the dragon and the vampires and all that, they're super expensive.
Yeah, because you can't. I mean, that's because they only print a few of them, right? And I think that's going back to your previous question about like all of a sudden it comes out and the price skyrockets for them. That's ultimately simple supply and demand, right? They're not being printed again. Pre-orders wise, if you ordered it ahead of time, here's what we had in stock and here's what we could get. But even now, our distributors, we can't buy it anymore. So
even the new sets right now, the
new sets, we can't buy them anymore. So if you didn't have enough money to buy cases and cases of it, and even then we were allocated. So our store being a small store, we could get 7 cases. And then
that's nothing.
It's nothing, exactly. And then we were offered another 3 cases after it came out. And then that's it. We can't get any more. So that's why the prices kind of go up, because it's you can't buy them from anyone anymore because Wizards doesn't print them again.
And that kind of forces players to go to Walmart or Target or even Amazon, because if you don't have them,
because
where else are they going to get them?
Amazon and Target can buy pallets and pallets of them. They're allowed to.
And that's got to be frustrating, because is that also the kind of same when it comes to standard sets like Ikoria? Are you guys only...
Ikoria will keep being printed for a while, but there are definitely some sets that if you... I'm trying to think of some of the older sets, even
Shadows of
Cons and Dragons and those types of, even Shadows over Innistrad, you can't buy those anymore from distributors. They're just not available. But if you were big enough or had enough cash flow at the time to buy a pallet when it first came out and could store it in your basement or had enough room to store it in your basement, then you're good. So bigger stores do better with that kind of stuff. So we do our best. Or I think smaller mom and pop shops do their best for stuff like that. But yeah.
So how long do they normally allow you to buy standard sets? Let's use Ikoria as an example. How long are you able to buy that from them if you wanted to? Let's say it just kept selling out every time you bought a case of booster boxes or something.
As long as they're reprinting it, then we can buy it.
So does it differ for sets each time for how long they're printing it?
I'm trying to think of what is the latest we can buy. I think we can still buy Amonkhet. Not that anybody ever does, but I think you can still buy
But not the ones before.
Amonkhet, but not the ones before. So it is like a couple years afterwards that you can kind of like keep buying it. But of course, then the interest goes down once standard rotation happens. So you're not buying a lot of those, and except for like Dominaria, you can't buy anymore. Can't get.
Yeah,
and they're
that sold out like crazy.
Yeah, and I don't think they're printing that. So Amonkhet probably just it was so unpopular that a lot of distributors still have stuff. But because Dominaria had so many cards that were good for Commander, bringing it back to Commander again, and I think that's what Ikoria has going for it, is that there's a lot of cards that are good. Theros Beyond Death was really good for Commander cards. Ever since Dominaria, every set has had some stuff in there that I think is just for Commander. Even I think a lot of the companions, what we were talking about Gigantha the other day.
Yeah.
And how Gigantha as a companion in Standard, not really that great. But if you think of her as a Commander and all of the different 5-color legendary cards that you could possibly put in a Commander deck that you could cast for free if you had Gigantha on the battlefield, all of a sudden she becomes really interesting. Yeah. So I like that they're thinking a little bit more about cards that might be good in Commander, because that format will kind of, I think they're realizing that format will kind of be the thing that they should focus on, because it's more casual.
Oh yeah, it's definitely what keeps it. Like, if I wasn't playing Commander at all, I probably wouldn't be playing any paper Magic, except maybe for like the occasional pre-release or sealed or something like that. So one other question I had, I guess mainly more of a store question: collector boosters. How have they affected single, like for you being able to sell singles or anything like that, or has that affected business in any way? Because they started doing them in Throne of Eldraine, I want to say was the first time they did them. Because during the Ravnica set, it was that mythic booster box or something they were doing.
I think people are really excited about the collector boosters that are collectors. The price point is too high for people that just are interested in Magic, but they're definitely collectors out there, and those are the people that will buy the singles after the fact as well, because they're trying to complete a set. So I think it adds a different dynamic. I don't think it has affected it negatively or positively in any one way. I think it's just another thing for those collectors to kind of be interested in and collect. And we do have a few people in our community, even a small community like ours, that are collectors. So, I think it's I love the art. So both Sean and I are really like into the art of Magic as well. We quite often comment on all of if you watch any of our videos, we'll quite often comment on the art. So the full art and the full art foils, or the alternate arts, even the Japanese planeswalkers, were really kind of a fun thing. You got excited. I remember we were opening Ikoria and we kept going, oh my gosh, oh, look at this one. Oh, this is so pretty. And because it was full art comic book and we hadn't seen it yet on Arena. So, yeah.
I like to buy, I don't like to buy those collector packs myself, but I like to buy the individual cards from them. So with those, again, it's because of that pretty factor or that certain card that I want. But there are people, some of the guys that come in, they like to buy those packs and just sit there and open them and see how far they can get with the value of those cards. They'll buy another pack.
I see what you mean.
Continue on to see how many they can get, and then
buy a pack, sell the cards. With the credit that you got from that pack, you buy another pack, open the card.
It's scratch-off tickets.
You can't do it anymore.
It's basically gas station scratch-off tickets.
Exactly. And then I just go buy the nice pretty card that they left.
Yeah,
that's cool. So you haven't noticed like a negative to regular singles since they've done the collector's boosters or anything?
Oh, no. I think the people that want to buy singles, that aren't collectors don't want foil collectors. They just want the regular single card. And so still it's more like, I just want the regular near mint. Most people won't go for lightly played, but they'll go for like the regular near mint. And if it's a choice between the foil, even like just a regular foil. And I think that the problem with it is that a lot of the foils right now are just curling.
Yep.
They have the curl problem with the issue.
Yep.
And so nobody wants those cards because they feel that it's devalued. I think that it's not devalued because all the cards that are published during that time frame are going to be the same 20 years from now.
Well, let me ask you this in terms of foil curling. When you got your Ikoria recently, did it come from Japan or did it come from a printer in the US?
Printer in the US.
Okay, because I've noticed, because my entire case that I had from Ikoria was printed in Japan, still in English and all that, but I noticed all the foils are completely flat. Even now, like a week or two later, they're still flat.
Okay.
And I've noticed that the Japan, and I had my case from Theros was the same thing. It came from Japan. So I don't know what card stock they're using over in Japan versus the US. They need to bring that from Japan over to US, because I've noticed I've had what was it? Throne of Eldraine was the last case that I got from the US, and those cards are curled to like all types of hell. And
it's interesting.
Yeah, so I was just curious, like, I don't know if you've noticed that or anything.
Yeah, no, we have to triple sleeve our foils now. If it's an expensive foil, we just triple sleeve it, and then it basically it goes double sleeved and then into a binder thing. Yeah, so it's technically triple sleeved. If you keep all the air off it, that helps. So
I don't even double sleeve my even really rare cards, like my playset of Gaia's Cradles. They're only in single sleeves. I'm terrible. Gosh. I know. I'm a terrible Magic player. None of my real, even like some of my EDH decks that are like nearing $1,000 and all that, like, nah, they're not double sleeved. I'm horrible.
We're librarians, so we know exactly where all of our cards are and what shape they're in.
Do you have it set by Dewey Decimal System and all that too?
No,
it's a database.
Or database. Now, does Dewey Decimal System even?
Yes, they're computerized, and yes, they're alphabetized, and yes, they're in color order.
Is Dewey Decimal System still a thing?
Yes.
Oh, okay. See,
is the Dewey Decimal thing? Do you even have a library card, young man?
Actually, I do. I went to library, well, before the pandemic and all that. I take my youngest, try to do it at least once a month, because they'll have craft activities there which she can do, and stuff like that. So so speaking of being librarians, what does just sort of changing subjects here, so I don't know anything, like, what do librarians do in a sense? So, and how different is it from being like a school librarian to a public librarian? What are some of the differences there, and what do you do?
Well, with the school library, the biggest part of my job is, especially I'm in a middle school, so it's grade 5 to 8. Mm-hmm. So those are when you can lose people from reading, or you can get them really excited about reading. So my biggest job is to help those kids find a book that is going to suit them and make them excited about reading. Because that's when the middle years are the make it or break it for reading, in my opinion. So, so that's my biggest part of my job, and just maintaining all those books and stuff for the kids. But the biggest thing is getting to know them and how I can get them reading. So
that's cool. I like that. And what about a public librarian?
So I'm the head librarian. So my job is, of course, different than maybe somebody that's at the front desk or that you would view as a librarian. But I think of myself as the curator of knowledge for the entire community. So there's a lot of information out there, and you need to know, we might not know everything, but we know where to find the proper information and not the fake news. I'll just use that term. Anyways, So a lot of my job is like managing the team, and I think of myself as the captain of the ship, but figuring out the new and innovative ways. And so we are less about the books. Of course, books and regular materials and ebooks and audiobooks are a thing. But how do you service an entire community with programs and computers, and we have a video game room with an Xbox in our library. We have virtual reality headset in our library and a green screen in our library and maker spaces and iPads and things like that we can check out a telescope at my library.
Oh, wow.
So it's really, I view my job as what's the newest trend that's out there that people need to experience. And I think that not everyone can afford to have all the fun, shiny things. And it's my job to make sure everybody's on an even playing field so that they can experience the same things as maybe Joe Smith, who has $1 million and can buy their own doohickey.
That's pretty cool. So what's something about being a librarian that most people don't know about? Like, that may surprise them about knowing?
I don't know what people know. It's a pretty secret society. Like,
oh no.
You might not know that we have like underground bunkers where we keep like artifacts. Have you ever
Wouldn't surprise me.
Have you ever seen Indiana Jones?
Nope, never heard of it.
Gosh, I don't know. People leave weird things in books. Weirdest thing I found in a book was bacon, a slice of bacon.
What?
I just dropped a present off for me.
Ooh, a foil Kahira.
Thank you.
So someone left a slice of bacon in a book?
Yeah, I opened up a book, flipping through it, checking it in one day, and there was a slice of bacon someone had been using as a bookmark, I guess.
Oh God, did it leave grease everywhere?
Yeah.
Oh God.
It's not the worst thing I found in a book, but we won't talk about contraceptives.
Okay. Maybe off air or something, because it's.
The funny thing that happens in the school library is a lot of the kids think that I've actually read every single one of those books. And I'm like, no, I have not read them. But I have a photographic memory, so if I've seen the cover or I've read the synopsis on the back and stuff, I usually know what book that was. So if they can tell me something about the book, I can tell them which book it was. So it kind of freaks them out a little bit.
So what are some of your favorite books?
Well, my absolute favorite book is, oh gosh, my brain just went
You can't ask a librarian what their favorite book is.
Book of Negroes is my very, very, very favorite book.
Really? You have a favorite? I don't have a favorite.
Well, what are some of your favorites? And not the favorite.
Well, Nancy Drews, of course.
Anything by Brandon Sanderson. I would say Patrick Rothfuss's The Name of the Wind is one of my favorites. Philip Pullman's series, the Golden Compass series, was amazing. Yeah. Outlander.
I need to read those. I watched the first season of the show and I really liked it, but I've heard the books are better.
Yeah.
Yes.
Were you there when we? So I was at were you at that writers' conference?
Which one?
The one that Diana Gabaldon was at?
No, I didn't.
She's amazing. If you ever get a chance to go see her, oh my gosh, she's so awesome. Yeah, so those are a few. I like a lot of fantasy, sci-fi. Blake Crouch is really good. I loved Ready Player One. The Martian was really good. You can't ask me that. I'll stop now.
I'm historical fiction, so I'm a little bit less about the sci-fi and stuff. I'm more into the historical fiction is my thing. So
yeah, that's my wife. She really likes the whole Victorian books and all about queens and princesses and with it trying to be as historically accurate as possible and all that. I love all the fantasy. I'm going through the Witcher series for the first time and oh my gosh, I love it. I love it because after watching the show, because I've never played the games or anything, but I watched the show. And then I immediately picked up the books and just fell in love.
I'll have to do that. I haven't done it. I really like the show too, but I have not read the book, so I'll have to do that. So
yeah, the first 2 books are basically a bunch of short stories that are pretty similar based off of season 1 of the show. But I'm on the 3rd book now, and it's so good. I can't wait to see it in show format because there's a lot of crazy stuff happening.
Cool.
So you also mentioned writers' conferences. Are you 2 writers as well? Have you written any books?
Wannabe writers.
Or wannabe?
I'm published.
I have not.
Oh, okay.
Yes, I don't have as much time to write as I would like to write because owning a store, playing Magic, having a YouTube channel, and being a librarian. I have a lot of stuff on my plate, but
we do like to write. Yeah.
So you said
romances, though.
Romances? Okay.
I write fantasy, mostly like fractured fairy tale type things.
So you said you have something published?
Yes, it's a short story, so it's not like a book yet. But
okay.
I do have a book written. It's just not published. It's a retelling of Little Red Riding Hood with a sci-fi twist, and it's in a book called Enigma Front. And I don't think you used to be able to get it on Amazon, but I think it's out of print now. But there might be used copies out there. We have it at our store. You can go to pandorasbooks.ca.
And what about you, Shawna? You said are you trying to write a book right now, or?
Yeah, I did. I have my shitty first draft is done of my very first novel, and I have another one started, but I haven't finished that one yet for sure. So
that's something that I've always wanted to try to do, was write a book, because I remember as a kid just loving to write, like read and write, and
yeah.
What's some advice you could give to up and coming writers that maybe want to write a book or something like that?
Just do it.
Yeah. What pushed me over the edge was we challenged each other to do the NaNoWriMo, which is the National Novel Writing Month, which is November.
Okay.
So we pushed each other to do that. So we kind of had that goal together to spend that month to write and finish a book. So that's what we did.
40,000 words, 1 month.
50,000
words, 1 month.
Dang, that seems like a lot.
It's not that bad.
It's 1,800 a day. 1,800 words a day.
A couple thousand words a day.
That's not too bad, actually. Only like about 1,800 to 2,000 a day. That's not too bad. Not too bad.
And what you'll find, I guess, so advice, write every day. Write at the same time every day. So when if you write first thing in the morning when you wake up, then your brain is ready to write when you wake up. So you're always constantly kind of like, it's like training yourself to be creative. Yeah. And then just do it. Like a lot of people are like, well, I'd really like to do that, but maybe someday. Or I'm not good enough. And she just alluded to the whole shitty first draft. Well, that's exactly what it's called. Like, just get your shitty first draft done. It's going to be crap because you're going to rewrite it about 14,000 times before it's right.
Yeah, and the biggest thing is for me that, because I like to correct things as I'm going along, and I'm perfectionist and stuff. So having that goal was, I could not do that with those 1,800 words every day. So I just wrote out the story as it just came dumping out of my head. So there was no editing, and it actually really came together and made me feel much better. And so then I've gone back and working on the editing and stuff of that story. So,
okay. That's some good advice. Yeah, my last writing project that I even did, which I need to just do it like you say, is I was writing a D&D adventure, and I got halfway through it and then just stopped for some reason. I can't remember why. It's just one of those things. It's
but you DM a lot, and you said you DM'd a Ravnica adventure, so obviously you wrote that. Because there's no pre-mades out there.
Did I though?
Well, you did. You put it together and you made things happen and you told the story.
So the D&D campaign I do now, especially at the game store, it's in a world that I made up. So I do work on that a lot, like the world. But as far as like DMing, I've gotten to a point, because I've DM'd for so long, that I just have a basic idea of what I'm going to do, then just sort of make it all up as I keep going. There's definitely been some nights where I've prepped nothing at all for a campaign, and I'm just like, yeah, so this is what's gonna happen. And it's been some of the best games ever.
That's awesome.
That's good. You have natural skills.
Sometimes. Well, one of my favorite things about D&D and being a DM, you might enjoy this, is when your players completely throw you for a loop. When they completely change everything that you had planned. Like
every single time.
So one of my favorite stories that I love telling was my group was sneaking into a hideout where the bad guys were, and two factions of the bad guys were meeting in a room, and they were listening on the other side. And so I thought, okay, this is going to be a big battle or something like that. They're about to fight. They're getting ready to fight. One of the characters decides, I'm just going to walk in and start talking to them and try to negotiate something. I'm just like, oh, like, oh shit. So I had to role play this whole big, long, like almost 3-hour negotiation of them trying to make a peace with, these bad guy factions. And I'm all like, oh, well, that was probably some of the most fun I've ever had before.
Well, if you already do this, because I've seen you write, like, this is the synopsis of what we did today and what happened to our characters, right?
Yeah.
So that's how the Dragonlance book started. If you look at the Dragonlance,
I love those. I love that series.
Here's some guys and gals that were playing D&D together, and they said, let's write this down and make it into a book, and thus that was formed. So the first, I don't know how many Dragonlance books were just retellings of what happened, and so let your characters help you write the first story. You just take everything that you have in your Discord channel and put it on there. That's right.
See, I don't know if I actually have the interest of wanting to write a story anymore, but I definitely have an interest of wanting to write D&D adventures, like for players to be able to play, because I definitely think I have an interest in doing that, because it's a lot of fun, like doing that, like creating the world and trying to create these adventures and prepping it, and then you realize all that prep you did was for nothing because the players just screwed all up. But it's so much fun. I love it.
Well, and are you familiar with DM's Guild? Obviously, yes. No?
Yes.
Yeah, so you can put stuff up there as you're like, here's my first one. It should take a couple hours, and then get some feedback, and that will help as well. If you put it up there for free, it'll help kind of give you some idea of what people are looking for. So.
Oh yeah, and I've already had the one that I am working on. I've had some play testing done with some of my players, and of course they don't do anything that I think that normal players should do.
That's every D&D design.
And that's why I love that game so freaking much, because you're just like, it's sometimes just pure chaos.
Yeah. Or the puzzle, you're like, this is an easy puzzle. They're going to get this, and then they're like, how do you guys not see this? It's so simple. Right there.
Or you make a puzzle where you think it's going to be a little bit harder, and they're like, oh yeah, it's this, boom.
Yeah, and you're like,
you just spent an hour on that.
All right, game's over.
Oh, I love it. No, it's so, what are some of your, speaking of D&D real quick, what's some of your favorite D&D classes right now that you like to play?
I like elves is my favorite, but rogues is what I like to play.
Rogues, ooh, the sneak attack.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're fun. What about you, Lesley?
Well, naturally, I'm a wizard or a sorcerer.
Ugh. Casting fireball all the time?
Maybe, but if you're in the way of my fireball, then that's your fault.
Yeah. My favorites are bards and clerics. I love those two. The bards for I really like the support aspect of them, and just how they can really buff people up and do a lot of psychic damage to bad guys. And the clerics are, this is like the first edition that I can remember that clerics are just start off really badass right at the part. They get some chainmail, a warhammer, and just start smashing face. They're not the timid little clerics of the past like they used to be.
I'm playing a cleric right now. Well, my third character in this campaign is my third cleric. I'm not enjoying the Tempest cleric as much as the life cleric. So I don't know, what clerics do you like to play?
I like life. I love the grave, the the Grave
I
Cleric.
haven't tried that one yet. So.
I think that was in the Xanathar's Guide, I think.
Okay.
And my favorite bards are the College of Lores and the College of Glamour, I think. Yeah, the College of Whispers. That's what I'm thinking of, because those are really fun. And right now in the campaign I'm playing in right now, I'm a monk, a drunken master monk, which I'm loving, and he quit alcohol in the game, and he's going through withdrawals.
Is he a turtle, so you can be a ninja turtle?
No, he's a halfling. He's a ghost-wise halfling, so he likes to mess with people and just telepathically talk to them. And then I want to multi-class into a rogue to not like steal or anything like that, but I want to be really stealthy with I want to be a scout rogue to be able to scout ahead and like find out where the enemies are and all that stuff and relay that. So I'll eventually get there if we ever get back to playing. It's everything's been put on hold. I've been trying to play on Roll20, and as a DM, that's way more work than just pen and paper. Oh my gosh.
Oh, I don't think so. I love Roll20. I prefer to DM on Roll20.
That's way too much work for me.
Well, it is a lot of work, I guess, if you're creating your own. The ones that you can buy on there that are all set up.
I've seen those. Yeah, I've seen that. Like I played was it Tomb of Annihilation on there? Who's with the DM that bought the campaign, and he was showing me. It's like, oh, they have everything and that
dynamic
you need.
Lighting is set up, and
all the maps are set up, and
door. Yeah, exactly. It's awesome. Yeah, they do a good job.
That way, it's really cool. But I don't. The only time I really like doing pre-written campaigns is if I'm going to be playing for a group of new players. Like Lost Mines of Phandelver is perfect for new players. Mm-hmm. And stuff like the beginning of Horde of the Dragon Queen is great for new players as well too. Past that, it gets kind of bad after that. But and the I still haven't tried out the new what is it from the Essentials kit, the Ice Spire Peaks or something. Yeah. I haven't tried that one yet. But they're I don't know. I love D&D. They need to bring D&D to Magic the way that Magic has been brought to D&D. They need to make a D&D set in Magic. they have to. We've seen small little hints of it, like M19 had the Bag of Holding as a card, and we saw the Sword of Dungeons and Dragons from the one silver bordered set. But we need.
I mean, you could argue that all of Magic is ultimately just a bunch of D&D characters and creatures.
But it's not true D&D though. It's not from the Forgotten Realms or Dragonlance or Greyhawk or any of that stuff.
So what you're saying is we need set Greyhawk.
Yes, Greyhawk. Then we need set Dragonlance. Then Forgotten Realms, Spelljammer, Planescape. I don't think
they would ever go dive into the Forgotten Realms right off the bat, because that's where everybody's kind of comfortable playing right now, and that's too much meshing. But Greyhawk they could do, because it's been a while since everybody's thoroughly enjoyed Greyhawk. So
because I mean the last time they even mentioned Greyhawk was in that one C book, the Ghosts of Saltmarsh, where you can have it set in Greyhawk and all that, but it's been pretty much Forgotten Realms for ever now.
Yeah, but I mean, look at Innistrad and Eldritch Moon. That's just Ravenloft.
Pretty much, yeah.
So.
And then, I mean, Dominaria could pretty much be Forgotten Realms in a sense, or Greyhawk. I guess it really depends on what. But I want them. If anything, if I had my choice, it'd be Dragonlance all the way through. I want Kryn as the main D&D set. That's been one of my favorite fantasy series. Have either of you ever read that series?
No.
Oh, you'd like it.
We're librarians. We've read everything.
No, so I think that about does it for tonight. We're going on almost 2 hours here.
Wow, time flies.
I know, it doesn't even feel that long. It feels like we just started here. So I guess what are some I mean, do you have any questions for me or anything while we're here before we go?
what made you start to do all this? You didn't talk about that.
Oh, start the podcast?
Yeah.
So I originally used to write Magic articles, do deck techs and stuff about like my experience of being competitive. They're out there somewhere in internet land. And actually, no, I think I might have most of them on my website, magicwithzuby.com. I think I managed to migrate most of them. But then I got tired of doing weekly articles because it was taking up too much time. So my buddy just told me, why don't you start a podcast, which is sort of like, doing articles in a quicker manner and all that. And then I thought I'd only be doing that for a couple months, and here I am 4 years later, and I haven't stopped since.
Awesome.
Yeah. That's wonderful. Yeah.
No, it's been quite a strange journey, but it's awesome that I get to talk to people like you, meet people that I would never ever talk to before ever, and meet some really good friends that I've never would have met before either as well. And it's that's one of the things I love about this Magic community is just the people, like going to a Grand Prix and just meeting a whole bunch of people that you never would have met otherwise.
Yeah, I think it's super cool just to even being part of the content creator community, how welcoming everybody is to little old us that we were like, oh my gosh,
you guys.
someone liked what we put out there, and that's awesome. And we got another follower today. And how many of the content creators are just super encouraging and welcoming. So that's just a really great testament to the community as a whole. And then, when you go to Magic Fest or something and you play Magic with someone and then you friend them on Facebook and you're friends for life, right?
Oh, no, I met some of my best friends now from playing Magic, just in my local area. I would have never met them otherwise, People that I talk to almost every day. And, before the pandemic, we try to meet up once a month and play hours and hours of Commander.
Yeah. And I think that is what, and I think they might know this, Wizards, but I think that's what they need to focus on, is that Magic the Gathering is about building a gathering, not building a competitive market. Because yes, have your little competitive market, but what you should focus on, which I think they've gotten with the whole Commander stuff, is all of us that really just want to have people to play games with want to come together. So how can you support that? So their support with local game stores, the mystery boosters, the codes, while people have been closed, I personally believe has just been phenomenal. So kudos to Wizards. I know they've gotten flack and people think that they're not supporting local game stores, but they are. I think they are. So I think it's great to have this wonderful community.
Great. All right. Well, thank you very much. Where can people find you if they want to reach out, see your content, and talk to you all?
Well, if you search TapThatMTG, we are on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Twitch, everywhere. All the podcast things have our. So it's TapThatMTG, all one word, and that's probably the safest thing to search for.
Not just tap.
Not just tap.
All right. Well, great. Well, thank you very much for taking time out of your night to talk with me and just being on the show.
Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. And thank you again. And I hope you two have a great night. All right.
You too.
Yeah.
All right.
Talk to you later.
Bye.
Hey everybody, hope you really enjoyed that episode as much as I did. I had a blast talking with them. It went by a lot quicker than I thought it did. It was, over an hour and 40 minutes, and it felt barely an hour. Just goes to show how time just doesn't matter too much sometimes, where time just slips through your life. But anyways, so I had a really great time talking with them. Great. I'm hoping at least one day that I'm up there in that part of Canada so I can visit their store and check it out. I'll have the link in the show notes for their store and their Twitter information and their YouTube information as well. And I hope you all enjoyed it, and give them some love, show them some love, give them a follow, check out their YouTube channel, check out their store if you're in Canada, or even if you're not in Canada, check them out anyway. They're two great people, and I'm glad to have them on, and had a really good time talking with them. So thank you again, Lesley and Shawna, for coming on, and hope you all, to the rest of you, have a great night. Thank you.